Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 card review, hit a review a card that is coming in Booster SP Tribe Force October 11th. And what we're looking at here is another one of the cards that people have been bitching about need to make a comeback because it was an OCG and all this other crap. Look, they reincarnated it. They brought it back in a different form, in the form of another monster that's kind of taken on its name, its moniker, Trishula, or its name, not moniker, excuse me. But yeah, you motherfuckers are basically getting another Trishula monster, so be happy. Shit. So, no more bitching. No more bitching. So again, like the same with Necloth, with the Necloth of Bryanak, I'm hoping that this has an effect similar to what Trishula had, but I hope they balanced it out. Or at least that's what I'm hoping. So let's look at it. It's a Water Warrior Ritual Effect Monster, level 9, attack 2700, defense 2000. I was finna say 2000. What the hell? Anyway, description: You can ritual summon this card using with. You can ritual summon this card with any Necloth ritual spell card. Must be ritual summoned by using non-level 9 monsters, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. During either player's turn, when a Necloth monster or monsters you control is targeted by a card effect, you can discard this card, negate the activation. When this card is ritual summoned, you can banish this card from your opponent's side of the field. You can banish when this card is ritual summoned. You can banish one card from your opponent's side of the field, hand at random, and graveyard. You can only use each effect of Necloth of Trishula once per turn. So you can only use each effect of Necloth of Trishula once per turn. Okay, cool. So they did try to balance out this damn card apart from Trishula. Now, first let me explain why Trishula was banned. For the people that's been living under a rock and they still don't know, and for the people that act like they don't know but they do know, and for the people that just don't want to acknowledge the real reason, so that the new people that's coming into the game that see cards like this and wondering why the dragon counterpart was banned years ago, you know, let me just elaborate on that. The reason why Trishula Dragon of Ice Barrier was banned was because it was a synchro monster that could target 3 different zones and banish cards from 3 different zones: the field, the hand, and the graveyard, all at once when it was synchro summoned. Now, this initially was not a bad thing compared to what happened after people discovered a little something. You know, uh, yeah, the card was able to, you know, when it got synchro summoned, it banished cards from 3 different zones, and it wasn't as bad of a problem because people, it was a high level monster. It was level 9, just like the Necloth of Trishula was, if I'm not mistaken. And it, you would pretty much only be able to get one level 9 synchro monster out like that. You know, what I'm saying, at least once a turn, so it wasn't as bad. Then people discovered a way to summon multiple Trishulas per turn, and it got out of hand to the point where they had to limit Trishula. So even after they limited Trishula, you know, it still wasn't enough because people discovered this thing called a loop where they could continuously, you know, bounce Trishula back to the extra deck, get the materials back on the field, then resummon Trishula to activate the effect again. So basically, they would continuously do this until all the cards from your hand, field, and graveyard were pretty much banished. And it was those cheap tactics were the reason why Trishula ended up getting banned. Because it left your opponent at such a disadvantage to the point where they had no choice. That people found like a broken method to use the card. So, that's the reason why it was gone. It was broken then, it's still broken now because the cards that it worked with are still in the game. And if a card got banned because it was being used with those certain cards, if those certain cards are still in the game, then what is the purpose of bringing the card back? Because the same thing is going to happen. You have people in this. The majority of people in Yu-Gi-Oh have this "I want to be cheap" mindset. I just want to win by any means necessary state of mind, that they make the game no longer fun for anybody else that want to just play and have fun. You know, you have those types of people. But with that being said, they did bring it back. They did balance out the effect now to where it can only be, to where each effect, well, to where the effect can only be used once per turn, if anything. And even then, you actually have to choose where you want to banish the card from. You can banish. Well, no, no, no. I take that back. You can banish, one card. You can only use that effect. I'm getting myself confused. You can only banish a card from your opponent's side of the field, hand, and graveyard once per turn. So even if you summon another copy of this card, the effect has already been used once per turn, so it can't be used again in that same turn. So that's good. Now that I got all that out my way. This, just like Bryanek, is also like a hand trap. I guess that's the right term for it. Because you can also negate the effects of other cards that are targeting your Necloth monsters, which is good. So, nevertheless, the I would say the most difficult part about this is again like the summoning requirements. Like, you can't use another copy. Pretty much the same thing with Bryanek. Like, you can't use like the same copy of itself in order to ritual summon itself like you would normally do with ritual monsters, considering that it's the same uh considering that it's the same level. You would be able, under normal ritual summoning circumstances, you would be able to use another copy of itself pretty much for the convenience of the ritual summon of the monster. You know what I mean? And with this one, it's kind of saying, well, like, you can't use another level 9 monster. You know, you have to use non-level 9 monsters in order to ritual summon this thing. So, again, I'm hoping that or I believe that they would do it. But still, I've seen instances where they wouldn't do anything like this. I'm hoping that they allowed uh, one thing I hope is that they put monsters in the main deck that, you know, whose levels can balance out the the requirements for the ritual summons. So that's another thing that I'm concerned about. But only time will tell. And then on top of that, you can't special summon in any other ways. So they really tried to correct their mistakes from what they did with this card's dragon counterpart. Like, they really made sure that they covered all bases. One, it can only be summoned once per turn. Two, well, I mean, not once per turn, but it cannot be special summoned in other ways. Two, the effect can only be used once per turn, where you banish one card from your opponent's field, hand, and graveyard. And then on top of that, it's also a hand trap, so you can't really be mad. You know, because it has another use. Other than being ritual summon. So, wow, man, this has got to be like the longest card review I've ever done. But I was making some good points, and I hope I came across correct, without doing a bunch of mumbling. But nevertheless, man, link to this card is going to be in the description. You guys can check it out, and I'll see you for the next card review. Peace.